Welcome to the Stronger Than Steel podcast with your host, Austin Davidson and John Keir, talking Steelers all the time. Now, here's Austin and John.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Stronger Than Steel podcast. Today is Season 4, Episode 46, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, John Keir.
Howdy.
Today, we will be recapping the Steelers' 16-10 win over the Bengals, and that wasn't even the biggest talking point. I think we should just hop straight into it. Devlin Hodges came in the second half and has since been named the starter going in against the Browns game. Mike Tomlin said the offense needed a spark, and that's why they put him in the second half, and asked why that he would be going with Devlin Hodges forward. He said he won't kill us, which it wasn't a shot at Mason Rudolph. It was just a joke about how Devlin Hodges came out of the Chargers game when Mike Tomlin said he didn't kill us. So what do you make of all this?
Well, starting with the game, you're playing one of the worst defenses in the league, the worst team in the league, and the Steelers' offense was struggling to put up any sort of points. They had a 40-yard drive that ended in a field goal, but besides that, you had mostly punts, and you had a long drive that ended in a red zone interception. Clearly, things were not going well for the Steelers' offense, and Mason Rudolph was a big part of that. But I think clearly the tipping point, the straw that broke the camel's back was that last throw on the opening drive of the second half, where Rudolph kind of skips a pass towards Deontay Johnson, who was open on a 3rd and 13. And from that point on, on that play, you could really just see that, this is a kid who has lost all of his confidence and he doesn't trust himself right now. And how can the team trust him when he doesn't trust himself right now? So it's a move that Mike Tomlin deserves credit for, but it's one that had to be made too. And, Devlin Hodges made a play, James Washington made a play, and luckily that was enough for the Steelers to pull out the victory because the offense did a whole bunch of nothing besides that.
Yeah, really, it was the game changer there when the second play of Devlin Hodges being in, he threw a 79-yard touchdown to James Washington. So it was a big deal, and it is probably what won the game for the Steelers. So without a doubt, that switch was necessary. Mason Rudolph did not look like he's gotten worse. He's regressed. Since probably the game after the 49ers game, he's just kind of gotten worse from there. It's just he hasn't been well, and he's just not developing how you'd want. It's not the door isn't closed on him possibly starting by the end of the year again, maybe getting one more time. But for now, it seems like this team is going to ride Devlin Hodges out for the rest of the year. I mean, until Mike Tomlin says otherwise, that's what it seems like. I mean, I can't see a reason why you put Mason Rudolph back out there unless Devlin Hodges really struggles in this next game against the Browns. But do you have anything else to say about the benching of Mason Rudolph and the going with Devlin Hodges forward?
Well, you need to hit the reset button with Mason Rudolph. And, you definitely can't have him play this week. So Hodges gives you the best chance to win right now. He's been playing, I wouldn't say great, I wouldn't even say that good, but he's doing enough. And he's doing enough to at least inspire confidence in the offense, at least enough that you think that he's not going to hurt you as much as Rudolph has been hurting you lately. And I actually think I thought that hit he took from Earl Thomas really did seem to sort of change things, but I still saw some things that I liked from him for a handful of weeks there. But starting with that Browns game, he really struggled, and it's just gotten so much worse. So as far as Rudolph goes, he just needs a reset. And, for Mike Tomlin, as far as he's concerned, you're not going with anyone for the rest of the season period. You're taking this on a game-by-game basis right now. No one right now should be locked into anything more than one game. Devlin Hodges should get this game. And even if he plays badly, I think that he should be, they should keep him in over Rudolph, given Rudolph's current circumstances. But you're not married to the guy. And I'm not that sold on Devlin Hodges either. I just think he's the less worse option right now. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be too harsh on the guy. I mean, he did enough to win the game last week, but I don't have a ton of confidence in him either. just like I didn't before either. But it's not like anything's changed with Hodges. It's just that he is still an undrafted free agent coming out of an FCS school, having to start games and help a team to win games that's in a playoff hunt. It's not a very ideal situation.
No, but at the moment, it gives the Steelers the best chance to win, more than likely. And so far, Hodges right now to me has a higher floor at the moment because Hodges really still hasn't gotten the reps with the first team offense. I mean, this week he will be really getting the reps with the first team offense for real. He'll be able to get on track with them, and he was already when he came in against the Ravens, I thought he did really well. But I think that after a good week of practice this week, he is going to do decently. I think he's going to be able to do enough going forward that he's going to keep the job over Mason Rudolph for the rest of the year, in my opinion, at least. But
yeah, I still need to see more. Like, I just can't commit to more than one game with any player. I'd like to think that you can, but I haven't seen enough from Hodges just yet. And obviously, with Rudolph, it's hard to commit to anything with him right now, given his current state.
Yeah, it's just not been very good. Also inside the game, we'll just roll into the injury report now. After last week's absolute breakdown with all the injuries in Cleveland, this game was relatively not bad to the Steelers. Big Al hurt his shoulder, which limited him in practice on Wednesday, but this shouldn't be cause for concern, at least from what I've seen and heard. He had finished that game. He didn't leave the game at any point, so it shouldn't be a problem going forward. And then the only other thing that happened in the game is that TJ Watt was on the ground for a little bit in pain, but he just bruised his knee. He came back a few plays later to finish the game, and he was fine. So there's nothing to worry about there. It's not a big contusion, just a small knee bruise. And then outside the game, just to recap some other injuries that happened against Cleveland and so on and so forth. James Conner likely will not be ready for next week after saying without rest, surgery is an option for his shoulder, pointing to him likely being out next week because he needs to rest. Then Juju did not participate on Wednesday and still has the knee brace on. He also hasn't cleared concussion protocol either. So both injuries seem to be keeping him out as well. And at the moment, it doesn't look good for him, but we'll have to see as time progresses throughout the week. And we'll hear more when we get to our preview episode for Cleveland. And then Artie Burns did not participate on Wednesday with his knee injury that he suffered against Cleveland last week. No, I haven't heard how severe it is for him if he's expected to play, if he's expected to get any practice in during the middle of the week. But that wraps up the injury report for the Steelers coming out of the Bengals game. Would you like to take over from here?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, with Artie Burns, I think I'd be cool with him just not playing anymore. Did you see Justin Lane as the gunner? He had a pretty solid game, and he made several plays that I don't think Artie Burns has really made at all this year. And I know Artie has the starting experience, but I think he's offering you very little right now. I think Justin Lane is doing just fine as a gunner. Yeah,
Justin Lane, I think Justin Lane's been okay. He's had some really good plays and then some really, really bad plays. It's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I think that Artie Burns has just kind of been bad and ugly, so on special teams and actually on defense as well. But so I think I agree with you. I think it's just better to go with Lane because at least Lane has some upside.
Then you want to touch on that Instagram story that Juju had earlier this evening?
Oh, sure. So Juju Smith-Schuster has now since deleted such post, but he posted a video of not only him driving, so he's using his phone while driving, but he is driving with a concussion at 104 miles per hour and decided that would be a good thing to post to Instagram. It's really stupid. It's AB level stupid because, you're doing something dumb and you're posting it to social media and you're just proving like people's points, like specifically Mark Madden and stuff like that. Like it's just that you're just doing dumb stuff, and it's like I don't know. What do you have to say about that?
It's just it's not smart, and it's something that I didn't think that he would do, and that's kind of concerning that he would kind of do something like this. I hope that someone on the team talked to him about that, and because that's not something. It's only going to get worse right now, at least this week regarding this. So just keep your head down and don't do stupid stuff like this. I mean, I really don't think he's been a problem as far as that goes. But like you said, this will add fuel to the fire. This will give his critics ammunition.
Exactly, my dude. Exactly.
I wanted to get back to for talking about the game, and we're talking about quarterbacks. What do you think about Ryan Finley for the Bengals? They have sent Randy Dalton. We can talk about Dalton later. But the three young quarterbacks, none of them. I mean, not that you can take away, passes from the actual stats. Finley had one nice throw that was deep down the middle of the field to Tyler Boyd, and Hodges had the deep one to James Washington. Besides those two throws, all three quarterbacks were largely ineffective.
Yeah, Ryan Finley was a guy I didn't look at pre-draft. I wanted to, I just didn't have the time. I heard a lot of things about him being a kind of like a safe player and stuff like that, and that he might be pretty decent. He just wasn't flashy. And then coming into this game, it just he didn't look great. He didn't look good even really. All the quarterbacks really struggled in this game. And after like the second half, like they weren't able to do anything on offense. It feels like they're, to be fair, they're devoid of talent, and they just got Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, and they just got Cordy Glenn back for this game. And even Cordy Glenn got beat a few times, even though he's their best lineman immediately after being plugged in. But I thought that Finley just did okay, a little bit below average, if I'm being honest. I really wanted to like him because I heard so many good things about him coming out of college, and that he was probably going to be like a second-round quarterback or third-round quarterback, but he just doesn't look very good. I don't think he's the answer, and I think Bengals decided that already as well.
Yeah, he really was not that impressive. It was a pretty quick evaluation for him. If you look at ESPN's total quarterback rating, which is the 0 to 100 scale, with 0 being 0 to 100 being elite, all three quarterbacks scored less than... all three quarterbacks did not grade out well on ESPN's total quarterback rating statistic. All three of them were under 27 on a scale of 0 to 100. So, all three quarterbacks didn't really perform very well. Obviously, Hodges was probably the best on the day. Finley just made a couple of throws, but all three guys were largely ineffective. And we know that both offenses were pretty talent devoided units. But the Steelers were able to make their biggest difference on the ground, where for really only the second or third time this year we saw an effective ground game. And it came mostly from Benny Snell Jr., but we also saw a few nice plays from the newcomer, Kareth White, from one of the guys the Steelers picked up off the practice squad last week. And he made an immediate contribution, including a 21-yard run that he had, too. Him and Benny Snell both had explosive runs on Sunday.
Yeah, both for 21 yards, too. So it's pretty good. The running backs were good in this game, and you kind of had to hope for that because the Bengals were the worst rushing defense coming into this game. So, you really needed to kind of bank on that run game to be paying off, and it really did. They were effective runners on the ground. Even if you take away Kareth White's 121-yard run, he still rushed 5 times for 22 yards, which is a pretty effective ground game for him. And then Benny Snell was the same thing. His yards per carry was pretty solid as well. And I think, if I remember correctly, he had 10 runs that were successful. 10 successful runs, which that's not a yards per carry stat. It's actually the more effective stat, where it's you get half of first down, then you get 66% on second down, I believe, and then third and fourth down, you get all the rest of the yards. So Benny Snell did pretty solid running on the day, and the ground game as a whole was actually pretty solid from the whole team.
Yeah, we didn't see much of Trey Edmonds or Jalen Samuels as well, and I think that could continue to be the case going forward because Samuels has struggled, and we already know that Trey Edmonds is mostly a special teams guy.
I was a little surprised that they didn't try the Wildcat at least once in this game. The Bengals got messed up by that last game, and I guess they figured that they would be ready for it this time, but I was still a little surprised they didn't even try it just once in this game. I guess they're tired of it because they knew that they used it for like 3 weeks in a row and it wasn't working.
Indeed. And then another newcomer in the receiver room was Deion Kane. He came through with an explosive play of his own, a 35-yard catch. That was obviously really nice to see. And then obviously James Washington headlines the group. But besides those two plays, the Steelers receivers no one else had more than 29 yards besides if you take out Washington's long gain and Deion Kane's long catch. No one else really contributed anything.
No, not much. Honestly, Deion Kane's already better than Johnny Holton. He's already done more. And the stats that aren't on the paper is that he drew 2 pass interference calls against B.W. Webb in a row at the end of the game that got the Steelers field goal. So, I mean, it didn't come down to anything, but it got them 3 more points. So Deion Kane did already more for this team than Johnny Holton has in one single game with his 135-yard catch and then the 2 pass interference calls he got to help the team. So they did well. James Washington, 2 yards off my dang bold prediction. He never had a 100-yard game. I was predicting him to get a 100-yard game and a touchdown. He was 2 yards off it. It would have been, I think, the first bold prediction that we would have hit on this year, either of us. I was so mad about it. But, I mean, still, it was close enough. Something I want to talk about going from receivers is the tight ends have been, like, otherworldly bad. Like, they haven't been here. They haven't, like, shown up at all.
So bad.
Yeah, I feel like it's been, like, they just disappeared. Like, Vance isn't doing anything. He had this 1 catch for 1 yard. It's just, they're not getting involved. And I don't even think I blame it on Fiechner. I think it's just the tight ends are bad right now. Like, it's just been, they've been doing nothing, and they should be stepping up in like this offense where the wide receivers aren't doing that good. I don't know. What do you make of like the tight ends like not being used in like the past like 5 games or so?
Well, here's the thing about Nick Vannett. He's a number 2 tight end. He was never really a super athletic guy. He's more of a guy that's going to beat zone coverages and not man. And as far as Vance McDonald goes, I don't really know what to say. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury or something. He hasn't really played well. Both of them have sucked as blockers. And, I don't know. I think it's a combination of the quarterback not looking for him. Maybe the game plans aren't designed for them as much. Maybe they are just not playing well. I think it really could just be all of that. But you really need to see more of them, and especially in the red zone. And we've seen very few trips to the red zone lately, but I feel like if McDonald's having a down year, the best place to utilize him, though, would be in the red zone. And you remember he had that touchdown against the Colts. When was that the last time he was targeted in the red zone? I'm not certain, but I feel like it could be.
I mean, yeah, he was only targeted once in this game, and it was for that 1 catch for 1 yard. So I wouldn't doubt that you're right there. It's kind of been disappointing, and maybe it's just because of the offense now. Maybe it's just because Mason Rudolph and Devlin Hodges don't have that connection that Ben Roethlisberger did. But you saw when Mason Rudolph came in earlier on in the year, he threw 2 touchdowns to Vance. So I don't even know if I believe that. Like, I understand, like, Ben and Vance are actually pretty close off the field and stuff. So, like, he'd be more willing to get him involved, and he's Ben, so it's a little bit better offense with Ben there. But I don't know. It's just been absolutely rough for the tight ends, and we might be finding ourselves in a situation where Vance is a cap casualty coming into this offseason. If the Steelers really decide they want like Bud Dupree or someone back, Vance McDonald could be a cap casualty and for a rookie instead or something. I don't know. That's hypothetical, but it's just he's been not performing like at all, so it's pretty rough.
Yeah, him and Vannett, the tight end room has been very disappointing, just like the entire offense for the most part. What do you think about the offensive line? I thought they were okay, but Alejandro Villanueva did give up another sack. He's had quite an up and down year.
Yeah, I feel like we always talk about that. I feel like Big Al is always like up and down. Like at the end of the day, he's a good tackle, but like he's always like up and down through his play. And he struggles in some points where he shouldn't really struggle. But yeah, he had a rough day, I thought, but it was like not terrible, not enough to like wreck the game for the Steelers. But the offensive line.
Did you think that sack was on him?
Which one?
There was.
Was it the one on Mason Rudolph or one of the ones against?
I think the one the one on Hodges. I think he was dinged for it, but I'm not. I think Hodges might have dropped too far.
I mean, it could go half and half. I feel like it's not all on Big Al. I feel like some of it was on Devlin Hodges for that sack. But yeah, it's like more like half and half. Oh, but something I wanted to say about the offensive line. I thought B.J. Finney did well. I thought B.J.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he had a good game.
Now, I forget, isn't their record something like 11-1 when he starts?
Yeah, the Steelers are actually, funny enough, really good with B.J. Finney as a starter. It's almost like he's a pretty decent guy. He's pretty decent at the offensive line stuff. But yeah, their Finney did well, so I wanted to point that out as well. He didn't. He stepped in fine for Marquise Pouncey, and David DeCastro is part of the reason why the Steelers were so successful in the run game. They had 11 times where they ran power to the left, and he pulled on 10 of them. So, and they were very successful running to the left because of that. So he just continued being really solid, and I guess that really wraps up the offensive line for this game. Do you have anything else to say about the offensive line?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'd be pulling him on just about every play. I get feeling some kind of way when I see that big 66 rumbling down the left side of the field.
Oh, you sent it to me. What about number 72 running a route today?
Oh my God, yes.
Zach Banner, dude. Zach Banner's gonna get a catch at the end of the year. He ran a route in this game. That's amazing, dude. I hope that he actually gets a catch. Apparently he has no hands, but I still want him to be targeted. He might be better than a tight end right now.
Hey, I mean, the way things are going for the tight end group, he might be the leading tight end pretty soon here.
Yeah, dude. Well, that was awesome to see him. I didn't see it live in game. I don't think John did either. But
Nope.
we saw it on a highlight today from Alex Gazora that he ran a route, and that's just amazing.
It absolutely is. And, yes, another solid performance from the line. I thought B.J. Finney played well. I'd be pulling DeCastro on pretty much every play. I don't care what's going on. Even if it's like a play fake. Sometimes you can run play fakes where you have the guard pulling, too. I'd be doing that, too. I just think the line and the running game is at its best when he's pulling.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like DeCastro's like, that's his thing. That's just, he's best at pulling. Like, and he's really elite at it. So, I agree.
Like, you don't have to do it every play, but it seems like your best results come from that. The defense, remember I said the Bengals hadn't scored 23 or more points on the Steelers in something like 15 years or something like that. Well, that streak is going to continue into 2020 with only 10 points for the Bengals offense. And, you continue to say great things about the Steelers defense. If you want to nitpick a little, I guess you can, because the Bengals offense really isn't that good. They gave up a couple long plays, and the rushing defense I thought was fine in the first half, but I think they gave up some longer runs in the second half. Joe Mixon turned a couple of runs that should have been tackles for a loss or short runs into like longer runs, and that was kind of frustrating.
Yeah, the run defense kind of broke down a little bit later in the game, but they, for the most part in the beginning, were doing well. I thought that Cameron Hayward was having quite the game. I mean, he led the team in tackles. He was tied with Mark Barron for the same exact stat line, but he led the team in tackles. Was very physical at the line. He helped keep the run in check in the beginning of the game. The rest of the defensive line I thought played pretty well as well. Javon Hargrave, ended up with a tackle for a loss in this game. Just I felt like the defensive line was really good in the beginning. Like you said, the run game for the Bengals started being established later on in the game. And Joe Mixon actually finished with a decent stat line, 18 carries for 79 yards. So he did end up doing decently. But I felt like as a whole, the defense played well enough to win, obviously, and they only kept the Bengals to 10 points. So that was good.
Yeah, indeed. And they forced 2 turnovers in the process. And the defensive front, obviously Hayward had a great day. He continues to dominate the Bengals. And elsewhere, T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree had sacks. They both had strip sacks, actually. Bud Dupree was the game-sealing one, and Mark Barron had a sack near the end zone, too. So they continue to rush the passer well, and they continue to overwhelm this Bengals' terrible offensive line. And the 2 forced fumbles, the first one with the Devin Bush forced fumble on Tyler Boyd, that was really a game-changing play. I forget the exact situation. I'm going to check it right now, but I think the Bengals were down 13-10 and could have gone. Yeah, they were down 13-10, and Boyd catches this ball at around the 10-yard line, something like that, and then Bush forces the fumble, and Minkah Fitzpatrick does a great job of picking up the ball in bounds, and the Steelers are able to take over. They don't turn that into any points, but the Bengals could have taken the lead there, and that slammed the door right there. So that was a huge play by the two biggest names the Steelers have acquired since the 2018 season ended.
Yeah, everything about that play was pretty great. I mean, I guess the beginning of it with Devin Bush getting burnt by Tyler Boyd in the beginning was rough, but I mean, it's a linebacker on wide receiver. It's just one of those matchups you don't want to see. And Devin Bush was able to come back, recover, and turn it into a forced fumble. Then Minkah Fitzpatrick was able to do excellent footwork on the side of the field. I didn't think he was going to be able to get it in time. I mean, if you touch the ball and then like you're touching out of bounds, that's where it's down. But I thought that the ball was going to get out of bounds before he could even get it, and therefore the Bengals would retain the ball. He was able to tiptoe the sideline and even run it back for a few yards. I was impressed with that. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick has paid dividends. Devin Bush has paid dividends. These two are the reason why the Steelers have so many takeaways this year. Without them, no chance that the Steelers have anywhere close to the takeaways. I believe they're involved in. I believe Devin Bush is involved in 7 of them, and Minkah is even more effective because he's played shorter games. I think that Minkah's been involved in 6, something like that. I know for sure 7 for Devin Bush. The Minkah one I forget, but yeah, it's these two continue to pay dividends.
Yeah, and another guy who's been a pleasant surprise making impact plays was Bud Dupree. His strip sack, his second in as many games against the Bengals, turned the tide in the last game, and in this case, it sealed the game. It wasn't a very great opponent, but Cordy Glenn's a quality NFL player, and he took him to school on Sunday, and Bud Dupree continues to have a breakout season, and we really need to have a conversation now about seeing if the Steelers should try to bring him back. It's going to be expensive, but, I mean, Bud Dupree is playing at this level right now. The way him and T.J. Watt are playing is something we have not seen since James Harrison and Lamar Woodley were in their primes, respectively. So that's approaching 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it's just like you should really be trying to keep them together at this point. If they're playing this effectively together, they're easily a top 3 duo in the league right now. Like you said, like the only argument you can make is the Smith brothers over in Green Bay because they have a little bit better stats. But I mean, they've been playing out of their mind together, and Bud Dupree really is kind of playing for that big contract. It's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do because at this point I really want the Steelers to keep Bud Dupree and keep the defense how it is because they're playing so well together that it would be so nice to just have the defense all put together and maybe try and help build the offense. But it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard. What you can hang your hat on is that the Steelers in 2021 are likely to be headed for 2 third-round comp picks with Javon Hargrave and Bud Dupree likely leaving. So I guess you could hang your hat on that. But at this point, I'd rather just keep Bud. I want Bud Dupree, which is kind of weird to say, like looking at the past. He's just been playing out of his mind. He plays well with T.J. Watt. And he should have had 2 sacks in this game. He was really close on another one earlier in the game where Finley was able to roll out to Finley's left and escape all the pressure. But he played really well in this game, and going forward, I hope the Steelers are able to find money somehow and keep Bud Dupree.
Yeah, Dupree actually said that him and Watt had missed sacks earlier in the game because they were trying to force the ball out because they know that they have to create turnovers in order for the team to win. So that's just also something to think about. But he's played very well this season, and I understand the skepticism of re-signing him. But to those who are concerned about that, my kind of rebuttal to that would be you have to take your chances now. There's no one else on the roster that has shown the potential to be an impact pass rusher besides T.J. Watt and obviously Dupree. You can't go into next year's draft without a first-round pick hoping to get a guy that can make an instant impact, unless if it's an outside free agent. And why do that when you can just keep the guy that you have with the franchise tag? I mean, I understand not wanting to mortgage your future, but the Steelers' Super Bowl window is through 2021. You have 2 more years. What's the worst-case scenario? You franchise Bud this upcoming year, and then you get 1 more year out of him? I'd take that at this point. I understand you might have to cut bait with some players, but you're probably going to end up cutting Mark Barron and Anthony Chickillo already. Maybe you have to part with someone like a Vance McDonald or a Ramon Foster for it to work, but I think I'm in favor of it at this point.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough if you cut Ramon Foster, who's the starting guard.
I know, but that also means you'll have to sign Finney on a cheaper deal. But my point is that you might have to make sacrifices, but I think they're ones I'm willing to make to keep that defense at the level it's at.
Yeah.
If you had a choice and money was no option, would you keep Hargrave or would you keep Dupree?
Bud Dupree, 100%. I think at this point Hargrave is a luxury that the Steelers don't use enough for him to be worth it. Like, I love him. I love Hargrave. He plays great when he's on the field, but that's the thing, when he's on the field. And the Steelers just haven't been really able to get him as much playing time as he should. More aggressively recently because, I mean, you're down to 5 defensive linemen with no LT Walton and Stephon Tuitt being hurt early on. But Tuitt's coming back. Hargrave is just going to go back to being like a guy that plays like 30% of the snaps, and I'd rather the 3rd-round comp pick. I mean, a 3rd-round comp pick for him than Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree is a guy that plays like 98% of the snaps, like 90%. Like Anthony Chickillo comes on quite a bit to take into his snaps, but it's just to me that with Bud Dupree playing the way he is, I'd rather Bud Dupree if money wasn't an option for either one.
I think Hargrave is the better player at his position, but it's harder to justify paying him when, like you said, he doesn't play as much as Dupree does.
Yeah, he's a nice luxury, and he's been good for his rookie contract, but it's just I'd rather Bud.
I agree with you. Any further thoughts on the defense right now? They continue to play out of their minds, and the Steelers' offense needs every bit of it right now.
Yeah, that's really it. That really wraps it up for the defense.
TJ Watt for Defensive Player of the Year. Are you on that bus?
I think he can definitely be argued. I think him and Minkah Fitzpatrick both have arguments to be part of that conversation of Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he honestly could win it. Like, there's a chance. There's more than a chance, actually. He's one of the favorites right now.
Who are the leading candidates right now?
I saw the tweet, and 2 of the top 5 were TJ Watt and Minkah. He wasn't number 1. I'm forgetting who was number 1, and I wish there's no way I'm going to be able to find this tweet because I didn't send it to you. But he wasn't ranked number 1 as Defensive Player of the Year. I forget who was, but the Minkah and TJ Watt are both like top 5 candidates for it this year.
We'll obviously pay attention to that as we continue to move through the season. Special teams, it was a pretty good day for the Steelers special teams unit, considering the Bengals actually have a pretty solid unit on special teams. Chris Boswell and Jordan Berry continue to have Pro Bowl caliber seasons. Boswell was perfect again, and Jordan Berry averaged over 45 yards a punt, including down 3 of them in the 20 with a 60-yard punt. He was fantastic, but the Steelers coverage units were also pretty good as well. You look at the Bengals' dangerous return game. They averaged only 23.5 yards per kick return from Brandon Wilson. That's pretty effective for him. And Alex Erickson, the Bengals punt returner, had less than 5 yards per punt return. So if you want to look at one negative, the Steelers' kick return game is still cheeks. Karis White had 1 for 16 yards, and I'm sure you remember that play. Trey Edmonds was called for a block in the back on the play, so it went. The Steelers' offense started, I think, at like its own 6-yard line after that. So just down that punt in the end zone, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said at the end of the last episode when we were talking about special teams, belly up, nothing for the kick return. Just take a knee in the end zone every time and start at the 25. Doesn't matter if they give it to you and in the end zone, you better just take a knee. I don't want to see it. It's not going to work. And next, I just want to say, Jordan Berry, the Pro Bowler. Jordan Berry had a long 60-yard kicks. 3 of his 7 punts were inside the 20. Mans is playing great this year, and he's had to play a lot. So that is actually really, really good for him, because this was, if we needed a year where Barry was playing good because of how often he had to come on the field, it was this year, and he's playing excellent. I felt like Barry's been just nothing short of great. He got 2 punts. The 2 punts, I don't remember the third one, but one punt was down at the 11 and the other was down at the 9. So he was actually doing pretty solid in this game. One of them was at least inside the 10 as well. So I just wanted to say that to add to the special teams.
As of right now, it would be a career high in average yards per punt, and actually net yards per punt as well.
I honestly haven't looked at punter stats very much this year, as most people do not. So I actually really should look up where he ranks amongst other players, because I keep saying Pro Bowl. I know he's not first in Pro Bowl voting for the Steelers, so I know that someone has to be doing at least a little bit better. Okay, he ranks, I'm just looking it up, he ranks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th. 11th in the league. He's tied for 10th. He's tied for 10th with Gillen from Cleveland. So he's a top 10 punter this year. So maybe not Pro Bowl, since you only get one Pro Bowl punter, but he's still having a career year, and I think he's doing good.
If you look at his raw statistics, like his percentage of punts inside the 20, it's down about 5% from his career average, and his touchback percentage is actually a little bit lower than his typical average. His typical average is about 4% of the time. This year, it's a little under 4. But I think you can also attribute that to the fact that the offense usually isn't having its drive stall at the opposing 40-yard line. Rather, it's stalling at their own 25 when they're taking over. So he's been allowed to boot it a little more. And with less of an emphasis on shorter directional kicks, I think maybe we've seen that he really does have that big leg that we always thought maybe he did have.
Yeah, man. Playing great this year.
And it has certainly been a welcome sight. Oh, last thing on punt returns, Deontay Johnson, I feel like he's going to break one of these days, but I also think he's going to fumble once or twice in a game, too. It's just what happens first.
He's scary, dude. I don't know. Watching him return punts always scares me. He always does, like, a little bit too much. Like, when he's getting tackled, like, he starts moving, and I'm like, oh, no, a defender's going to, like, push out the ball. He holds onto the ball really loose, and that really scares me.
He also looks like he could break one, though, doesn't he?
He does. He does look like he has that potential, but it's just, I think I'm more scared.
I mean, say what you will about Ryan Switzer, but he would come up and he'd catch the ball. And I never really felt like I had to worry about him fumbling the ball and receiving it there, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
So for all his flaws, that is one thing he did do well. So that's something the Steelers have missed in his absence. I think we covered just about everything from the game. Look, it wasn't pretty, obviously. You beat the worst team in the league by just 6 points, and you're supposed to be a playoff team. You know, you're benching your backup quarterback who's supposed to be the heir. The offense isn't really, you take away that 79-yard touchdown in the passing game was horrendous. The ground game was effective, but not overly effective. And the defense was, pretty good. But a win is a win is a win.
Of course. No matter what, it's a win is a win. Any given Sunday, as they say.
And the Steelers are the 6th seed now, and they're in a logjam with 4 other teams for the AFC's final wild card. The Bills are 2 games ahead. They'll be playing tomorrow on Thanksgiving. And the Steelers currently hold the advantage in tiebreakers, but there's obviously that huge game with the Browns coming up on Sunday. That'll be not an elimination game, but a realistic elimination game.
I think it's literally the biggest game the Steelers have left on their schedule. You can't lose this game to Cleveland. It's as close to a must-win as possible. I mean, you give Cleveland a tiebreaker over you in the playoffs. They're going to definitely have the better division record, and that they have you on 2 head-to-heads. It's easily the biggest game going forward. It's to me, I'm honestly going to say it is a must-win. Out of the games that's left, this is the must-win game of all of them, because it really affects if you make the playoffs or not.
If you lose that game, you have to run the table and then hope for help.
Exactly. Like it's that tough because like all the rest of the teams, like everyone's there with you. This is not just that Cleveland beats you. It's now Colts and Titans are ahead of you. Oakland's ahead of you. Cleveland now has the tiebreaker over you, so they're ahead of you. And exactly, you need to run the table, and that includes games against the Ravens and Cardinals, and that's not even guaranteeing you make it because Cleveland has a way easier schedule to finish out the year. So I'm almost thinking that Cleveland probably wins out if besides the Pittsburgh game, which if they win that, they're definitely winning out. But I think even if they come out of the Steelers game with a loss, like they're winning from there on. I forget exactly their schedule, but they got it really easy.
They get the Bengals twice, so that could be 2 wins. Although Andy Dalton coming back could make things a little interesting. They're in Arizona, so I wouldn't call that an easy one.
Yeah, oh yeah, okay. So that makes me feel better.
And then they host the Ravens, who are going to want to kick their ass after they got steamrolled by the Browns earlier this year.
Okay,
so
maybe I'm confusing them with someone else.
I wouldn't call it an easy schedule, but I also wouldn't call the Steelers' schedule easy either, because we looked at early in the year we looked at Cardinals, Bills, and Jets, and we were like, oh, those are all easy. And, the Bills are a playoff team right now. The Cardinals are scrappy. And the Jets, all of a sudden, after looking like the worst team in the league a month ago, all of a sudden they look like a legit team. They might be playing the best football in the AFC East over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, they put up 30 points in 3 straight games for the first time since 2008. So they actually are doing that. And the Steelers can not really effectively put up 30 points. So that is a little bit scary. Hopefully that...
They can't effectively put up 14 right now.
You're right. You make a good point. But yeah.
Point being, it's a game at a time, and the Steelers got this must-win done, so now it's on to next week's must-win.
Yeah, so it's really going to be a big game, to say the least. Also, we're going to be hoping pretty hard for the Cowboys to beat the Bills tomorrow on Thanksgiving, because then it really helps out the Steelers. Because then if the Steelers could then beat the Bills, the Steelers could, looking forward, could grab the 5th seed. Since they would have the head-to-head with the Bills, and then they would share the same record. The Bills have a really tough schedule going forward. The Bills have one of the harder ones because they have the Patriots one more time. They have the Cowboys. They still have to verse the Ravens, and I forget their last game as well. But the Bills
get the Jets.
Oh, okay. So they got one cupcake team, and like we just said, the Jets have been playing pretty hardly as of late. So it's not an easy schedule for them. So looking forward to that. There is a chance that the Bills might save the Steelers season if they really fall apart. If the Steelers are able to beat the Bills, even if they lose the Browns game, that might be the Steelers' saving grace, as the Bills could fall out of the playoffs because of how hard their ending schedule is. But this is all in the future, and hopefully the Steelers just beat the Browns, and that's enough.
Indeed. Let's go over what happened in last week's NFL action, the final week of bye weeks. Let's get into first the Buccaneers and Falcons. I don't have a ton to say on this game, but the Buccaneers came through with a very nice victory. Vita Vea with an impressive touchdown. I love to see the big guys score. And the Falcons fall back to earth after 2 impressive wins. Yeah, man.
I can't say I didn't see it coming. I really felt like Buccaneers were just going to bring back the Falcons to earth. And really, the Chris Godwin played out of his mind. 7 receptions for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Absolutely incredible. And this is like the second game he's had this year that was like that. He's crazy. And on the Falcons side, Quadri Allison, the former University of Pittsburgh player, he scored his first NFL touchdown, so shout out to him. But yeah, I saw this game coming from a mile away. I knew Falcons were coming down.
Broncos at Bills. The Buffalo Bills bludgeon the Denver Broncos, who can only manage 3 points. The Bills rolled to a win, and I wasn't buying on the Bills. I'm still not super convinced, but at the very least, we seem to know the Bills are going to beat the teams that they should beat, with the exception of the Browns from a few weeks ago.
Devin Singletary is so good. I can't say it enough. Devin.
Can we talk about Frank Gore too? Frank Gore now third all time on the NFL's all-time leading rushers list, passing Barry Sanders.
Yeah, man, he's absolutely ridiculous. It's just, I can't believe Gore has played for this long. You think he's a Hall of Famer for how long he's played?
I don't know how you could argue that he's not. To be honest with you, I'd have a hard time thinking that would be a legitimate argument.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I hear some people say that he's only got the stats because of how long he's played, but I mean...
So did Emmitt Smith, too.
Yeah, I think Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer. But
I don't think that, like, I get that, like, you want the Hall of Famers to be the best of the best, but there is something to be said for being that consistently good. And remember, the teams he played on, especially early in his career, were horrendous. Those 49er teams in the mid to late 2000s there were terrible. Absolutely terrible. And he was really good. So I think that he is absolutely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree. The Bills really used their running backs in that game. I mean, they had 47 carries in total. 9 were from Josh Allen, and then 1 was from a wide receiver, Ramon Foster. And I think and 1 was from Isaiah McKenzie as well, who's also a wide receiver. But 47 times total rushing in that game, and Frank Gore and Singletary led the way, with Frank Gore having a 27-yard rush, which was the longest of the day for the team. But just, again, Singletary is incredible. Singletary, if he didn't hurt his hamstring, would be like one of the top running backs this year. Because I'm sure right when he hurt his hamstring is right when he was taking the carries from Frank Gore when he was going to win that battle. He's just so good. I can't say it enough.
Absolutely, he's a dynamic player as well. The New York Giants lost their 7th straight game to the Chicago Bears, who continue to win, and albeit unimpressive fashion, but again, a win is a win. And the Chicago Bears were able to win 19-14. I don't really have much to say.
The Giants only lost this game because of their kicker. Quite literally, he missed 2 kicks in this game on both of his attempts. So they brought in kickers after this game, giving him a warning shot that, like, yeah, if you don't pick it up, you're going to be fired. But yeah, I mean, those 2 kicks were the difference. They would have won 20-19. Just it sucks. But other than that, I think I don't have anything else to say. Other than Darius Slayton leads the team in receiving. I still love that man.
Former Auburn wide receiver, correct?
Yes, sir, Auburn. And I knew he was going to be good.
Dolphins and Browns. The Browns put up 41 on the Dolphins. Looks like they're getting things in groove here. The Dolphins starting to fade after playing competitive football for a little over a month there.
Dude, like the days go on, and the Dolphins have more and more players that I don't recognize. They just put Jakeem Grant on IR, which is like one of the few Miami people I recognize. I'm pretty sure they're just signing people off the street at this point. Like I just look at their defense, right? And I look at their leading tackler. Do you know who Devon Godcho is? God whatever. I've never heard of that man's in my life. I don't.
No.
Exactly. I have no idea who that is. I honestly don't even know how to pronounce his name. It's spelled Godchaux. Like, that makes me think Godcho. But like, I look at this team, and as the weeks go on and more of their players get injured, and I'm just like, who are you people?
It's rough. It really is.
Yeah. Man.
Just like the Lions and Redskins game, that one was pretty rough. The Redskins come away with their 2nd victory of the season, the first in the career of Dwayne Haskins, and the Lions and Redskins are both heading for they're heading for the golf course shortly after the season.
Lions and Redskins and trash. Oh my. Jeez. I don't even have anything to say about this game.
Dwayne Haskins couldn't make it onto the field for the last snap, apparently.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's so dumb. That's such a stupid, like, old take. Like, oh, he didn't go down for the knee down. He went to go take a picture with a fan. Like, he is literally the only thing giving Washington fans that show up life right now. Like, to me, it's almost more important that Haskins is out there, like, interacting with fans, giving them something to, like, hang their hat on, that their team is absolute garbage and their owners are absolute garbage and they're probably not going to fix their team for a very long time until the owners come there. So I don't know. That pissed me off that people were even giving him crap for not being there on the last snap of the game.
He's the only, if you can't sell winning, you have to sell hope, and he's the only hopeful thing there.
Exactly. Such a bad take.
The Jets absolutely destroyed the Oakland Raiders, and I saw the Jets winning. I didn't see this.
Yeah, I questioned the line in terms of why the Jets were getting that much at home, but yeah, I was apparently very wrong. They absolutely gave it to the Raiders. I didn't see the game at all. I don't know how it went down, but it couldn't have been pretty losing that bad.
Carolina Panthers and New Orleans Saints played to an exciting 34-31 contest. The Saints were up by, I think, as much as 2 scores in this game at one point, but the Panthers came roaring back, and the Saints had that pass interference rule used against them in ironic fashion, although it didn't matter as Panthers kicker Joey Sly missed a 20-yard field goal. The Saints go right down the field, and they kick the game winner, so they're able to escape with the victory there.
I felt so terrible. I couldn't believe at one point Carolina was down 14-0 in the first quarter. I felt I had to feel for the kicker. I didn't hear the full story, but apparently his brother died pretty recently, and he was struggling with that, and so I felt bad. He missed 2 extra points in this game and that field goal, and I just I wanted to see him succeed so bad because he had a rough week from what I heard, so. It's kind of sad that him missing that. I felt really bad, but I guess the Saints were the better team coming into this, so I guess it is what it is.
The Seahawks beat the Eagles 17-9. Not a huge offensive showing from Russell Wilson, and then on the other side, Carson Wentz is struggling.
Oh Lord, is he struggling? Right, I don't even know who to say is right now. Dak is outperforming Wentz by a lot, which is obviously a big argument because they're in the same division. But honestly, what was more telling to me in this game was Russell Wilson struggled. I was not prepared for that. He finished with a quarterback rating of 16.4. That is worse than every single... Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I think Mason Rudolph was the worst. I was going to say that's actually worse than all the quarterbacks in the Bengals-Steelers game. But he had a really, really bad game. And it's really... Between him and what Lamar Jackson did, it kind of knocked him out of the MVP talks. I didn't see him struggling against secondary like that, and to me that was more telling than how Carson Wentz has performed, because Carson Wentz has been bad, but honestly it's just I was worried about Russell Wilson this game. Why wasn't he should have been balling out.
Jaguars at Titans. Derrick Henry continues to run all over Jacksonville. And the Nick Foles-led Jaguars have been unimpressive thus far, losing by 22 on the road.
Yeah, not great. I can't say I saw that coming. Ryan Tannehill has been absolutely great for the Titans. I don't know if they're going to roll with him going forward, but I questioned that trade when it happened, but apparently it's paying off for them as they are now right in there in the playoff race, and Tannehill's actually playing really well. So, I guess that was a good trade for them.
The Cowboys roll into Foxborough and lose a 13-9 contest to the Patriots. The Cowboys, in a rainy game, decided to throw it a bunch and not throw it to their best wide receiver in Amari Cooper because logic. Why would we do that? The Cowboys decided not to throw his way, and they just, I don't know. The Cowboys' offensive identity is kind of questionable.
It is pretty questionable, to say the least. They were a running team, but I don't know. It really seems like they only beat up on teams that are bad, and that's still true. They haven't beaten a team that has a winning record yet this year. Granted, they were close in this game, and the refs really screwed them over by getting 2 tripping calls on them, which you hardly ever see. And then they came out after the game and said, yeah, those shouldn't have been called. So, I guess you can't blame losses on the refs like that. But, they didn't get the help. They could have possibly beaten New England. New England, however, on offense has been terrible. New England's offense is just absolute garbage. I can't believe that they're struggling this bad. I thought last year was bad. I thought they were going to do a little bit better this year. But it's really just gotten worse.
Yeah, well, there's no Gronk at all now. So even a hobbled Gronk would have really helped this team.
Yeah,
but they keep winning, though. So, I guess it's not too serious right now, as long as they keep winning. You think Jason Garrett's going to get fired soon?
Maybe if they lose next game against the Bills tomorrow, there's a chance that he's out on Friday. I'm hearing a lot of rumors about that if he loses, he's out.
They were talking about, I think there was a blocked punt in this game, and Jerry Jones said that special teams is a direct reflection of coaching, and he said he's very frustrated. So I have a feeling that Jason Garrett's leash is it's almost gone.
Yeah. Yep.
We had a pair of blowouts on primetime. First, on Sunday night, the Packers got steamrolled by the 49ers 37-8. Aaron Rodgers had just, I think, 104 passing yards. It was the lowest yards per attempt of any game in his career. That was ugly. And then on Monday night, the Ravens, 5 touchdowns from Lamar Jackson, and the Los Angeles Rams mustered just 6 points of offense and a pair of blowouts. It was ugly all around.
Aaron Rodgers averaged 5 yards per completion. That was absolutely disgusting. Like, it was just a little over 5 yards per completion. I think like 5.05. Just absolutely terrible. And then per attempt, it's like 3. I have no idea what happened. I didn't watch the game. I saw the score at halftime and was like, no, thank you. And then it just got worse. It just kept getting worse somehow. And I was like, how is this even happening? I can't say I saw this, but you know what? It just keeps making me feel better when teams that I consider to be good get blown out by the 49ers, and you think that the Steelers just like lost to them by 3 points. Or, what? It
was 24-20, but that was also Mason Rudolph's first start. So
and yeah, this
another
was
indication of how much Rudolph's play has declined. Yeah, he wasn't great in that 49ers game, but when you consider all he was up against, his first career start, playing what is now probably the best defense in the league, and in their stadium as well, good freaking luck, man. And he actually held up pretty well now in hindsight, looking back at that game.
Yeah, that game seemed a little bit scarier at the time because we didn't know how good the 49ers are, but obviously we know that the 49ers are a very good team now. And when the Steelers versed them, they had Quan Alexander as well. They do not have Quan Alexander anymore, and they're still balling out. But yeah, I feel like that's tougher. I mean, they got Emmanuel Sanders now, so that I guess that hurts helps them on offense. But the Steelers didn't have to see ES10. But it makes me feel better every week seeing San Fran beat up really good teams.
And then you have any thoughts on the Monday night game?
I forgot. Yeah. The Rams are terrible. And also, I don't know. I almost really don't even want to say this take out loud because it really is I almost consider it a bad take. Lamar Jackson is the best rushing quarterback ever, but that's not what the bad take is. I still don't even think he's that good of a quarterback. It's just that that's why it's a bad take. He's in the MVP chance. He threw 5 touchdowns. He threw 5 touchdowns on 20 attempts. Like, it's to me that's speaking more of the Rams defense being terrible in this game than anything. I mean, he only threw for 169 yards. Like, he still hasn't shown me anything as a passer. And I know that, like, if I told this take in my group chat, I would get roasted. It would be straight up like, you're dumb, you're a Steelers fan, shut up. I can't. Like, no team has forced him to, like, throw. And this is part of the problem. I saw him against the Steelers where he was asked to throw a bunch. He threw 3 interceptions. He nearly lost that game for the team. And you look at how many yards he's thrown and how many times he's thrown in all the games. So I looked at it. I was ready for an argument to say that Lamar Jackson really hasn't been that good besides his rushing. He is the best rushing, I will say it forever. He is the best rushing quarterback ever. Just straight up, that already in his second season. Just as a passer, I'm still not impressed. There's still nothing to me that's amazing about him.
That was a very passionate rant.
It was very passionate because I know that if anyone else heard it, they'd be roasting the heck out of me. And I really try not to say it because it is a take that people would call very, very hot. But it's how I see it. Like, he's only thrown more than 300 yards like one time this year, and I think it came against Kansas City where he was helped by Jesus Christ himself on 2 fourth down throws that were wobbled up in the air, and somehow the Chiefs didn't intercept either of them. So,
I didn't think he played well against the Steelers, but I also am not trying to ignore what he's done so far. I'm still holding out. I want to see what happens in the playoffs when he starts seeing teams a second time. If he can continue to play like he has this year against teams when he sees them a second time, like he did the Chargers last year and didn't play as well, if he can play better the second time around this year, he'll have sold me.
Yeah.
So, the jury's still out. I'm not making any hard decisions one way or the other just yet.
I'm still willing to change my opinion. I just haven't seen anything impressive as a passer yet. Still, it's just
you always hold the right to change your opinion.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I'm waiting. I said it earlier in the season. I was waiting for the Steelers game till I judged him. Then I said, yeah, he's bad and he just played bad teams. And then from then on, he just went on and killed Patriots. He killed the Texans. He just destroyed the Rams. He's just so good. Teams can't figure out how to stop him on the ground like that. It's
big
just
test this week. Big test this week.
It is a big test, but I think they're gonna win. I think that the Ravens are gonna be able to win this game this week.
They're absolutely boat racing everybody.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm granted the Rams and Texans don't have the greatest defenses in the world, so it's a little bit easier, but I haven't seen a team be able to stop Lamar Jackson from running at all. Even the Steelers struggled against Lamar Jackson running. It's the part of his game that he is so elite that teams can't stop it.
It's like if you go down by more than 7 points to the Ravens, you can't win because they are so effective at shortening. A lot of teams will have successful 10, 11 play drives that are 75 yards. The Ravens have 17 play drives that are 70 yards.
Yeah, they haven't
20 play drives.
Sorry. They haven't punted since New England. That's incredible. That's how good their offense has been. They have not punted once since late in the New England game when RG3 came in. That's the last time they punted. It wasn't because of Lamar Jackson. It was because RG3 came in.
And mind you, the Ravens also go for it a lot on fourth down. Their third and fourth and short is the polar opposite of the Steelers. Their running game has been so effective, and it's such a high percentage play for them that they aren't afraid to go for it on those fourth and short plays. And third and 5 is a running down for them.
Yeah, because they're just so good at it. They do it so great. Hopefully, they fall off a little bit because they lost their starting center to IR, Matt Skura, so maybe they'll perform a little worse, but I'm not hanging my hat on that.
The division's done. Division's over with. Right?
Division's over with, yeah. I want them to fall off just because they're a division rival, not because I want the Steelers to win the division. Well, I want the Steelers to win the division. I just don't think that's more of a hopeful thing than a realistic thing.
What I'm hoping for is the Ravens to kind of go off here so that they are in a position to rest starters in Week 17.
That I agree with that. That would be fantastic if that happened.
So hopefully they get the 1 or the 2 seed. Preferably the 1. I'd rather see the Patriots go to Baltimore personally. But if that happens, plus another thing is the Ravens play the Bills. So if the Ravens can beat the Bills, that would really do us a favor.
That would. It would help us out.
So, anyways, we're getting into looking ahead a little bit here. Let's take a step back and look at some Steelers news now. The NFL has named its 25 modern-era finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2020. There are 3 former Steelers on this list, including former safety Troy Polamalu in his first year of eligibility. Joining him are receiver Hines Ward and former guard Alan Faneca. So 2 names we've seen before and the new one in Troy. I think that there's a possibility that Faneca and Polamalu get in this year, but I think Polamalu definitely will.
He's first ballot 100% all the way. He should be in on his first ballot. It'd be pretty sad if he didn't get in because he really deserves it. He would obviously get in next year, but he deserves it this year. But Faneca has a good shot. Hines Ward is I don't think it's ever going to happen. It's just it's going to just get rougher and rougher from here. The wide receiver stats only get crazier as time goes on. So It's just going to be rough for Hines Ward. He's a great Steeler. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it to the Hall of Fame.
The 0-11 Cincinnati Bengals have turned back to quarterback Andy Dalton to start the remaining 5 games of their season in the hopes of winning a game. I think it's quite clear after a sample size from Ryan Finley that Andy Dalton is the better quarterback, and with the Bengals already at 11 losses, the worst that they could finish, or the best that they could finish, I guess, is 5-11, which is still a top 5 pick. So I think they viewed their tank as successful, and it's time to not be embarrassed with an 0-16 record.
Yeah. Maybe they'll even bring back AJ Green. Who knows? Maybe they'll really try to win that last game. Honestly, if they're still like 0-16 in week 17, or I'm sorry, 0-15 in week 17, they're probably gonna be like, AJ Green, you want to play 1 week, and that'll be it. And they'll try and win that last game. I don't know. I forget who they verse. It's probably Cleveland, right? Since they verse.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that'd be funny. Yeah, it's just they're a sad team. There's really nothing about it. And I mean, the Dolphins are probably like sighing relief, like, oh yes, please try and win a game. We're trying to get back over there because there's only one quarterback available in this draft that's like top 5 worthy.
There's like 3 good quarterbacks that are probably going to get taken, man.
Really? You think Tua still goes in the top 5?
I don't know.
I don't know the other one. I'm not good with college football.
Herbert.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So there should be 3 first-rounders. I feel like if Tua slips, he's not going outside of the top 15. I just feel like that's how quarterbacks are these days.
Yeah, that would make sense.
With the because I mean, you think about 2 years ago, the gap between, I think it was Josh Allen or Josh Rosen and Lamar Jackson was like 13 to 32 or something like that. So, anyways, the Eagles have signed kicker Jake Elliott to a $21.8 million extension through the 2024 season. The third-year player from Memphis has converted on 86.8% of his field goals to this point of his career. I don't have much to say. Do you have any thoughts on Elliott being signed?
No, we're good to go.
Denver Broncos head coach Vic Fangio has told the media that rookie quarterback Drew Lock will be getting more practice reps this week and could start as early as this Sunday. Lock has not played this season as he has spent the first half of the year on injured reserve with a thumb injury.
Honestly, I think it's good to try and measure your quarterback now, see how he's learned on paper, and see if you could translate it to the field. I looked at Locke pre-draft. I think he's just another Blake Bortles, but I guess I hope I'm wrong. I don't really know if I hope so. I just for their sake, for the Broncos' sake, I guess they should hope I'm wrong. To me, he just looks like Blake Bortles. I don't think he's going to help him.
The Detroit Lions are set to start David Blough. I guess that's how you say his name, David Blough?
Yes, that is correct.
At quarterback tomorrow. With injuries to Matthew Stafford and Jeff Driscoll, Blough, a rookie from Purdue, will become the third quarterback since 1950 to make their first NFL start on Thanksgiving, joining the likes of Drew Henson for the Cowboys and former Steelers quarterback Kent Graham, who was playing for the Giants at the time in 1992. So that's an interesting little bit of history there.
Yeah, man. Good luck to him. It's going to be tough. I mean, you actually don't have to put up that many points likely, but it's still going to be tough because you're starting against a good defense.
So you've got Thanksgiving tomorrow, which means, of course, you have Thanksgiving football, and we have 3 games to pick from. So let's start with the first one, the Bears with the Lions. Detroit is a 2.5-point underdog at home.
I'm going to pick the Bears to cover. It's really tough for a third-string quarterback to come in there and just ball out against a good defense, a weaker defense than we've seen in the past, but still a good defense. And even though Mitchell Trubisky is still leading the charge with the Bears, it's just going to be tough. We saw the Bears kind of have their way with the Lions in the second half in their first matchup. I don't see it going any differently, really. I think the Bears cover. What do you got?
I agree with you. I can't trust Blough, but even though Mitchell Trubisky hasn't been that good this year, the Bears are a more cohesive team while the Lions seem to be falling apart here. They're talking about firing Matt Patricia already.
Yeah, that's pretty dang rough.
Bills at Cowboys, a matchup of 2 that have not beaten a team with a winning record this year, so something's got to give here. Dallas is getting 6.5 points at home.
It's kind of funny because the narrative won't really change with no matter who wins. It's like, well, you beat a team that didn't beat any other winning team, so how good are you still? But I'm going to pick the Bills plus 6.5. I was a little bit, even though the Broncos aren't anything to write home about, I was impressed with the Bills' ability to bounce back in that game. I didn't really trust them. I had picked the Broncos. I will pick the Bills this week. I'll pick Bills plus 6.5. Not with the idea that they'll win, but I think there's a chance they win, but I think that they could keep it within 6.5. What do you got?
I'm going to switch it up. I'll take the Cowboys to cover. I usually prefer the home team on Thursday games, and I just have a better feeling about the Cowboys than I do the Bills right now, even though the Bills did win last week. Fun fact, the last time the Bills played in Dallas, it was a 44-7 rout. Not saying that's going to happen, but I feel a little bit more comfortable about the talent on the Cowboys roster than I do the Bills. But that Bills defense versus Cowboys offense matchup will be very interesting. And last but not least, we have the Saints and the Falcons. A rematch of a game that 2 weeks ago the Falcons surprisingly won on the road. This time in the Mercedes-Benz. I forget. It's not the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. It's the Saints. What is it called in Atlanta? Mercedes-Benz as well. I just don't remember. It might be Mercedes-Benz Dome or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm gonna have to check it out. It is a 6.5-point line. The Saints are favored. Where are you going on this one?
I'm going to pick the Saints to cover. I think they're pretty pissed off that they got blown out the first time by the Falcons. I think that they handle them this game.
Oh, so it's just Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Huh. I guess that wasn't too hard to figure out.
All right.
I'll take the Saints to lay the 6.5. I don't see the Saints getting swept by the Falcons. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's just not with how bad the Falcons actually are. So, yeah.
Alrighty then. I think I'm all set to wrap this one up. I don't have any further thoughts on last week's game.
I got just one more thing to say. There are 3 teams that can clinch the playoffs this week. That is the Patriots, not the Packers. The Patriots, the 49ers, who played the Packers. That's why I was thinking that. And also the Saints. The Saints can clinch it if they win and then the Panthers lose. The 49ers can clinch it if they win and the Rams lose. And then the Patriots one is convoluted. It's a long thing, but basically if they win and then any of the 6 and 5 teams lose, they're in. Or if they tie and any of the 6 and 5 and then like the combination of the 6 and 5 teams lose, they're in. So so 3 teams can clinch going into this week.
Alrighty then. You all set to wrap this one up?
Yep, I think we're good here.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for listening to the Stronger Than Steel podcast. If you have any questions about the show, please feel free to email us at strongerthansteelpodcast@gmail.com and check out our website, strongerthansteelnfl.blogspot.com. You can check out our episodes posted on SoundCloud and YouTube, and you can find those through our website. So, Austin, thank you so much for joining me today. And everyone listening, have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your friends and family this holiday season. And, we're kicking it off the right way with Thanksgiving. And, of course, enjoy the football on tomorrow. It's the best time of the year.
Yeah, man. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You have been listening to Stronger Than Steel podcast. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to check out our website listed in the description below.